Austrian Stocks in English. Listen this type of thing on.
Yeah, welcome to Austrian Stocks in English, presented by Palfinger, the English-spoken weekly summary for the Austrian stock market, positioned every Sunday in the mostly German-language podcast, Audio CD, in die Podcasts Wiener Börse, Sport, Musik und mehr. My name is Christian and I will be later on joined by the absolutely smart Alison.
From the outside, some may think we are just a nice regional marketplace. But if you take a closer look, you will see that we are a lot more than that. Driven by trust and transparency, we open doors to the world. We are a major infrastructure provider in Central and Eastern Europe and the gate to global financial markets. We are the Vienna Stock Exchange. In Vienna and Prague, over 85% of our trading participants are international. Empowering innovation and growth and delivering good deals is what we strive for. Our listed companies benefit from maximum liquidity and visibility. Issuers benefit from efficient, cost-effective listings, and investors profit from fast and inexpensive trading. We distribute stock market data and calculate the most important indices for a dozen markets in the region. We also provide other national exchanges with our IT service expertise. We are more than a marketplace. We enable growth and innovation. Vienna Stock Exchange, delivering a world of good deals.
Yeah, this was more than a marketplace. The new video for Vienna Stock Exchange created by Nick Bichler, which I will I will link in the show notes of this podcast. ATX TR lost in week 19 in spite of strong AT&S and Österreichische Post 0.97% to 6,822 points. News came from Frequentis, Austriacard, Rosenbauer Semperit, Vienna Stock Exchange, Strabag, Wolftank, Agrana, Verbund, Wienerberger, Addiko Bank and Polytech. And these news are spoken now by the absolutely smart Alison.
Thank you, Christian, for calling me absolutely smart. And these were the news of week 19. Monday, Frequentis, global supplier of communication and information systems for control centers with safety-critical tasks, will develop and supply a customized communication system for the entire French rail network, as part of its strategic development plan to transform its network by 2030. The Railway Communication Projects Fircom will pave the way for SNCF Réseau to transition to the future Railway Mobile Communication System, FRMCS. As an active player in shaping FRMCS, Frequentis is a key participant in setting industry standards and supporting customers with their goals for a fully digital railway, says Tom Carl, Frequentis Vice President Public Transport. Frequentis, weekly performance, 0.33%. Tuesday, Austriacard Holdings, an Austrian group of high-tech IT and hardware embedded security, reported results for Q1 2023. First quarter revenues increased by 48.7%, reaching €89.8 million, driven by strong performance of payment products and solutions in our focus areas being challenger banks, US, UK and Turkey, as well as the growth in the product segment of secure data management solutions and postal distribution services. According to the company, economies of scale and higher average sales prices more than offset material and energy costs increasing gross profit by 54.6% to €21.9 million with an improved gross profit margin of 24.4%. CEO, Panayotis Spiripalis, noted, "We are on track to reach our FY 2023 targets of 12%-15% revenue growth, 25%-30% ADJ, EBITDA growth, with a net profit margin of 4%-5%. Austriacard Holdings AG, weekly performance, 0%. Rosenbauer, despite falling victim to a cyber attack, fire industry supplier Rosenbauer Group achieved revenues of €191.7 million in the first 3 months of 2023, January 3, 2022, €176.7 million. The volume of the group's business was thus 8.5% higher than in the comparative period of the previous year. Due to a higher gross profit and lower structural costs, the operating loss could be reduced significantly in comparison to the corresponding period of the previous year. EBIT amounted to €4.9 million, January 3, 2022, €-18.6 million. EBITDA was already positive at €2.5 million, January 3, 2022, €-11.5 million. At the same time, the order intake of €293.3 million was significantly higher than revenues for the first 3 months of the year. Based on a further improvement in the supply of truck chassis, the Rosenborg Group's executive board expects revenues to exceed €1 billion in 2023. The EBIT margin is expected to improve by around 4 percentage points compared with the previous year. Rosenborg, weekly performance, -0.64%. Wednesday. Semperit, the publicly listed Semperit Group, an internationally oriented group that develops and produces polymer products, recorded a slight increase in revenue and high earnings in continued operations in a difficult market environment, which was impacted by high inflation and a growing economic slowdown. First quarter 2023 shows revenue increased by 2.0% to €185.2 million in continued operations. At €13.2 million, EBIT slightly above the comparable period of the previous year. EBIT margin slightly improved to 7.1%. CEO Karl Haider commented on the quarterly results. I am satisfied that we delivered a good performance in the first quarter of 2023 under the given global conditions. We look forward to the full year with optimism, although we expect business development to be subdued. Semperit, weekly performance, -6.81%. Vienna Stock Exchange, thanks to strategic projects and strong trading activity, Wiener Börse AG achieved high profits for the third year in a row in a turbulent 2022 environment. The exchange group's consolidated revenue increased by 0.9% to €80.0 million in 2022. 2021, €79.3 million. 90% of revenues were generated abroad. At €47.30 million, the profit before tax achieved in 2022 remained at the strong level of the previous year. 2021, €47.58 million. As of December 31, 2022, the company had equity of €170.05 million on its books, and net profit for 2022 amounted to €36.5 million. As at the end of December 2022, the exchange group employed 166 people, full-time equivalents. The economic success in the past year confirms our course as the most efficient stock exchange of our size. Even in the dynamic environment of 2022, we have consistently pursued our strategy. Our diversification creates a broad offering for our customers and a strong foundation for our continued success, says Christoph Boschen, CEO of Wiener Börse AG. ATX, weekly performance, -1.24%. Thursday. Strabag, the management board of construction group Strabag will propose a set of capital measures to the annual general meeting to reduce the shares held by MKAO Respiria Trading Limited from the current 27.8% to below 25%. Blocking minority, Respiria is controlled by Oleg Deripaska, who has been on the EU sanctions list since April 8, 2022. The shares of Respiria are currently frozen as a result. We must do everything we can to reduce the disadvantages and risks arising from Respiria's shareholding and strictly prevent any influence. This is the best way to protect the company's interests, explains CEO Clemens Hasselsteiner. Following the decisive measures taken since March 2022, this is now the next important step on this path. These new measures also serve as a clear signal to our clients and stakeholders, Hasselsteiner says. Strabag, weekly performance, -1.11%. Wolftank, the business of Wolftank Group, specializing in technologies for energy and environmental solutions, picked up speed in 2022. The successful buy-and-build strategy that the company has been pursuing since 2014 resulted in revenues of €62.7 million in 2022. 2021, €44.6 million, an increase of around 40%. Earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation and amortization, EBITDA tripled to €3.6 million. 2021, €1.2 million. Our increasing sales not only support our own growth, but also reduce global greenhouse gas emissions. Every gram of CO2 We emit as a result of our operation saves more than 10 grams of CO2 globally. We are also in pole position to gain a significant market share in the growing hydrogen and renewable energy infrastructure needs in the coming years, says CEO Peter Worth. Wolftank ADISA, weekly performance, minus 8.01%. Agrana, this year, the fruit, starch and sugar group Agrana is starting with the construction of an additional drum drying plant at the site of its potato starch mill in Gmund, Waldviertel district of Lower Austria. With an investment volume of 23 million euros, Agrana aims to boost the production of technical special starches for the construction and adhesive sectors. Agrana, weekly performance, 1.15%. Verbund, utility company Verbund saw an improvement in the results posted for Q1, 2023. EBITDA climbed by 18.7% year-on-year to 967.3 million euros. The reported group result rose by 2.8% to 529.0 million euros. At 0.93, the hydro coefficient for the run-of-river power plants was 1 percentage point below the prior year figure and 7 percentage points lower than the long-term average. By contrast, generation from annual storage power plants rose by 13.5% in Q1, 2023, compared with the prior year reporting period. Generation from hydropower plants thus increased by 121 GWh to 6,089 GWh. The sharp rise in wholesale electricity prices on the futures markets that were relevant for the reporting period gave earnings a considerable boost. Prices on the spot markets declined in Q1, 2023. Consequently, the average sales price obtained for our own generation from hydropower rose by 88.90 euros MWh to 202.80 euros MWh. Verbund, weekly performance, minus 3.43%. Wienerberger, the first quarter of Wienerberger Group was characterized by challenging macroeconomic conditions, with partly strong declines in the end markets. Wienerberger achieved stable first quarter revenues at group level of 1,052 euros million, Q1 2022 1,157 euros million and generated a strong EBITDA of 206.3 million euros Q1 2022 228.3 million euros. The company once again succeeded in growing against declining end markets due to the positive development and outperformance of its end markets. Wienerberger's ability to master such economic challenges is attributable to its transformation into a provider of innovative and sustainable system solutions for ecological new build and renovation as well as water management. The company is determined to consistently maintain its focus on these areas and again outperform its end markets in the future. Wienerberger, weekly performance, minus 1.07%. Adecco Group, a consumer and SME specialist bank active across Central and Southeastern Europe CSEE, achieved a profit after tax of 9.7 million euros in the first quarter 2023 driven by solid business development and focused cost management. Net interest income rose significantly by 26.5% to 52.2 million euros, 1Q22, 41.3 million euros, with improved NIM at 3.55%, 1Q22, 2.87%. The net fee and commission income decreased by 8.3% YoY to 15.6 million euros, 1Q22, 17.0 million euros, mainly driven by lost income from FX DCC in Croatia following the introduction of the euro on January 1, 2023. Credit loss expenses stood at 4.5 million euros or 0.13% cost of risk, 1Q22, 1.2 million euros. Adecco Bank, weekly performance, minus 2.30%. Polytech Group, leading developer and manufacturer of high-quality plastic components, reported consolidated sales revenues for the first 3 months of 167.8 million, plus 12.8%. Group EBIT in the first quarter 2023 totaled 0.2 million euros, Q1 2022 2.9 million euros. As opposed to the same period of 2022, the EBIT margin was 1.8 percentage points lower, coming from 1.9% to 0.1%. Subject to the assumption that a slight market recovery, a normalization of call-off volatility, several new product launches and a stabilization of the supply chains all occur, In the 2023 financial year, the Polytech Group management anticipates consolidated sales revenues in the range of €650 million to €700 million. Polytech Group, weekly performance, minus 0.43%. Friday Austrian Post. Austrian Post shows first quarter revenue and earnings above prior year. Group revenue increased by 10.5% to €664.7 million in the first quarter of 2023, showing improvements in all divisions. Earnings have also improved in the first quarter. EBITDA rose by 17.1% to €95.1 million, and earnings before interest and taxes, EBIT, was up by 18.7% to €47.0 million. In this regard, it is important to highlight the earnings increase in the retail and bank division of €11.6 million year-on-year, which now made a slightly positive contribution of €0.9 million to group earnings. Against the backdrop of rising costs, the first quarter went well, as reflected in the higher revenue and earnings, states Austrian Post CEO Georg Pölzl. Österreichische Post, weekly performance, 5.36%. And now bye-bye from Alison.
And Christian, we wish you a great week. Hear you next Sunday.
Austrian Stocks in English. Austrian Stocks in English. Presented by Austrian Stocks in English. Presented by Presented by Presented